Brooke Taylor saying this. Sources confirming to her that the suspected shooter has been found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside the storage facility. This is the first official report of the suspect's condition. There was some, and let's take our live vantage point of the scene. All three of these are live images. A self-inflicted gunshot wound inside the storage facility. The suspect still not named, by the way. Taylor had earlier said that it was a suspect in his 40s, but nothing more specific than that. Now it appears, according to Brooke Taylor of Fox's reporting, that the very storage facility that you're looking at in the big box on your screen, this is the facility where the suspected shooter has been found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police have been, it started with a response to a vehicle that appeared to be abandoned by the suspect. Shortly after that, you know what, let's listen to this press conference for a moment.
We're gonna work our way to the right. Everyone gets one question, and then one follow-up question. 20 minutes, starting now, likely longer, maybe 25 minutes. Thanks.
Wanted to make sure we didn't miss that. Okay, so 20 minutes or more until we get an update from officials. An official Providence Police Department update that's been hours in the making. It was supposed to happen much earlier this evening, but this developing situation in New Hampshire, no doubt, causing them to delay. And now Brooke Taylor saying that the suspect is dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and they are inside of this storage facility that Brooke also says the suspect has a unit within this facility. Now, this does lend a little bit of context as perhaps to why we never saw anything but relaxed body posture from these officers. We're not sure when they may have found this suspect. We just know what you see on our screen, which is that sources are confirming to Fox's Brooke Taylor that the suspected shooter has been found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound inside of this storage facility, the same storage facility that the reported suspect has a unit in under their name. Two Brown University students were killed and 9 students were wounded on Saturday as a part of that mass shooting. Police had initially announced that a person of interest was taken into custody early Sunday morning. And then later that night, officials said that the individual was being released. The search for the killer remained ongoing as police said that surveillance video had showed a man dressed in all black proved to be the most useful tip in tracking down the potential gunman. I'm reading some reporting from Fox News Digital. They say about 20 minutes ago that authorities were preparing to enter the Brown University shooting suspect's storage unit, and that the suspect was seen on surveillance video entering the storage facility at some point, but it was unclear if he ever exited. So, some of these pieces of the puzzle starting to come into the picture here. Fox says the suspect has a storage unit registered under his name at the facility where his abandoned car was discovered, a source told Fox. And now, according to Brooks' reporting, it does appear that that suspect, or that they entered that suspect's unit. Unclear where they found the suspect's body, if Brooks' reporting. And again, I'll just read this verbatim. Sources confirmed to me that the suspected shooter has been found dead from self-inflicted gunshot wound inside the storage facility. I believe we're going to be connecting with Hal Kempfer here. Jamie Copenhaver, law enforcement expert Jamie Copenhaver, going to be touching base with us here in a moment.
What's up, guys? I had to go live quickly here because
Digest a potential
found
conclusion.
the Brown shooter dead, supposedly of
manhunt.
suicide, in a storage facility.
That's stretched jurisdictions,
kind of
stretched
convenient,
days.
right, Robbie Smith?
It all started at Brown University's Barris and Hawley Engineering Building.
Hello, Eric.
There have been a few moments.
Frank, I agree.
Okay, let's take this in full. We're seeing some officers leave.
Aaron, what says guess?
Again, WBZ bringing us these images. I'm going to be watching for anything
Oh, it
they
said
might bring out
gas
of this
instead of
building.
has. Blaine. Yeah, gas found. Duvril, did an Israeli moving company own the storage
So you
facility?
see a portion of this massive police response.
These are the questions we need to know the
We
answers
expect
to.
sometime in the near term to get an update from police officials. They gave us the 20-minute
Her
heads
message
up
said gas bin.
minutes ago. They said it would likely be longer than 20 minutes, though. It was found in New Hampshire. Agents have entered the facility, but not his unit, she says. Video shows him going into the storage facility at some as to when that press conference would start. And then it was right after Brooks' reporting came out that the suspect had died of a
Robbie, there's
self-inflicted
massive
gunshot
fuckery
wound in
afoot
this
with all
facility.
happenings the
Shortly
past
after that report came out,
forever.
an official did step up to the podium and did give us that 20-minute heads up that we've been waiting for. We are going to stick with this
How's everyone doing tonight,
for
huh?
as long as it takes until we get to this press conference.
Caesar.
We've been tracking this story so closely.
finally
since Saturday
unbanned
evening.
me.
In fact, Jamie Copenhaver, who's going to join me in a moment here, him and I were on air on Saturday evening as this story was breaking out of Brown University. It began as a call of potential shots fired. Shortly after that, we heard that there was, in fact, an active shooter situation at Brown. Again, it was really focused in on the Barris and Hawley Engineering Building. That's
This was from a little bit ago.
This is a picture of the shooter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and my brother goes, that doesn't even look.
Oops.
This is a picture of the shooter. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and my brother goes, that doesn't even look at me. He goes, but I had a hat on and
So
I was
can
in
you
the
explain
car.
the facility thing?
It's he works at the self.
Is it okay if I record you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he works at the self storage over there, and he's a manager there. And the FBI was calling him, trying to find out, about the because the guy has a storage unit there.
Storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire.
Yeah, so
Yep.
they were talking to them, trying to figure out everything, and so they got the information. They said, my brother's boss said, you can go home. If we need you, we'll call you back.
Yeah.
And my brother left, got in his car, and started driving away, and they surrounded him. The FBI
surrounded your brother's
surrounded him, ripped him out of his car, threw him to the ground, and put
Wow.
rifles to his head.
That's
Fucking
insane.
assholes. And he's trying to tell him, I'm the manager. You were
Of
just
the storage
talking to me."
facility.
Yeah,
Yep.
just talking to me.
Wow.
Extra space storage over there.
Extra space
And he
storage in Salem, New Hampshire.
And so they went and got his license.
This is a picture
What? I guess that's all we get of that. So that's the shooter. I mean, that's the body type.
of the shooter.
That's the body type.
in New Hampshire, the scene of where Fox's Brooke Taylor says sources are confirming to her that the suspected shooter has been found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That shooter reportedly found inside the storage facility. Law enforcement expert Jamie Copenhaver joining us tonight. Jamie, want to make sure you can hear me.
I can hear you, Austin. It's good to be with you.
Thanks for coming back on. A major development, I'll read it to you verbatim. This is the news of the hour. Sources confirming to Fox that the suspected shooter has been found dead from self-inflicted
Not reading
gunshot
it verbatim.
inside of this
The
storage
shooter's
facility.
gas has been found.
Jamie, if this reporting proves to be true, does this, and I'll actually frame this a different way. If this reporting turns out to be true, what are you going to be listening for at this press conference? I mean, my chief question is, do police have any sort of assurance that those two crime scenes were in fact connected at MIT and at Brown? What are you
Are
going
we
to be
sure
listening
we got the
for?
right guy this time?
Exactly.
It's
the
a
same
legitimate
thing. I want
question.
to hear a little bit more evidence or a narrative as to how they located the suspect, what the probable cause was to get that warrant issued for his arrest. And then I want to hear more about how these two crimes were connected. The bigger question is, was this a lone wolf actor, or does he have an accomplice or other people that are involved in this? Because you're talking multiple states involved. You're talking transit out of the state of Rhode Island into another state to commit this heinous crime of murder, potentially the MIT professor. So a lot of questions that need to be answered by the authorities in this upcoming press conference.
So we've been
How much you want to bet we get
pretty much
zero answers to
following
any of
this
these
wall to
questions?
wall. One thing that Brooke was reporting, by the way, is that the shooter died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This suspect, Jamie, you and I were discussing earlier about how police sometimes will be selective with what they release to the public. Do these type of tactics, do they put pressure on a suspect typically?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're living in the day of social media. Everyone has a cell phone, to include the bad guy. So, rest assured, he's probably held up in that
Clippy, no
storage
motive.
unit. If in fact it proves to be the shooter of Brown University, he's watching the same thing we're watching from home. So, therefore, it's easy to be critical of these leaders going out and not being really transparent or, giving the full amount of evidence they have. But keep in mind, you have a suspect at large. There's a potential threat for community. So you've got to be very guarded on what you share and what you don't share with the general public, because quite candidly, the bad guy's listening to this as well.
So, Jamie, we're getting a second source confirming. The Associated Press says that the man suspected in the shooting at Brown University has, in fact, been found dead in New Hampshire. He was found inside the storage facility, AP sources say. So that's now two of our partners confirming the same information, that we do, in fact, have a suspect. Looks like the AP is not saying a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They're not being specific. Brooke Taylor of Fox News saying it's a self-inflicted gunshot wound. When we look at what comes next, Jamie, ultimately news like this, when you heard the news, firstly, can I just get your first reaction when you first heard that the shooter could be dead?
Relief.
I'll bet my hog we get nothing.
But think of the poor people that live there
It's a
that
good
have
bet.
to deal with this every day, not knowing if he's walking amongst them. So I was relieved. Congratulatory towards law enforcement, because it's been a whirlwind of an investigation. So first response was, wow, what a relief this is. The bad guy is down and there's no more threat.
And this immediate area, and I'll just reiterate, Salem, New Hampshire is about a 45-minute drive north from Boston. And then we're expecting an update from Providence Police. And it's worth reiterating some of this stuff. How do agencies, especially when we're talking about a multi-state incident like this, we're talking about Providence, we're potentially talking about some of the departments that were working on the MIT investigation
I'm so
as well.
confused about this. So sources are reporting that the suspected shooter has a storage unit registered under his name at the facility in New Hampshire where his abandoned vehicle was discovered. But what led them to that? Like, what led them to his vehicle or him being a suspect? And why should we just believe them this time?
the due diligence they perform, the data.
Right, Jay,
sources,
parked
the amount of data that's coming in from the tip line.
If he owns a storage unit there and his car's there, he didn't abandon it. He parked there.
That's where the FBI
Right?
and federal partners come
What?
into play with this. You set up that unified command center, and then everything is essentially dispatched out of that command center to whatever jurisdiction that it needs to go to.
Are there typical indicators that suggest whether this was a planned suicide location versus a desperate last-minute decision once cornered?
You know, it's hard to say.
I abandon my
It's
car
early
every time I go to the
make a decision
grocery
on
store.
that, but I'm gonna
It's
suggest
abandoned
following.
for the entire time I'm in
city
the
of
grocery
Providence
store.
Has been in a lockdown condition. They've had multiple agencies from other agencies coming into Providence to provide extra patrol. To
Okay,
have that
don't say
extra
brown
presence,
shooter.
right? So, you know, all that is to deter that suspect from coming back into Providence to commit more murders or more shootings. So, you know, as we discussed earlier, the bad guy is watching the news just like we all are. So it certainly puts pressure on the suspect. You know, fortunately or unfortunately, we see a lot of these end up in suicide. You know, the bad guy will take his own life rather than facing justice. So, nevertheless, the good news out of this, if it's in fact the Brown University shooter, those folks aren't under that threat that they've been in since, last Saturday night.
And this past Saturday night, you and I were on air as police were responding to Brown University. What will investigators be looking for inside that storage unit, Jamie? What are they looking for that could explain why he went there? Was he hiding, regrouping, disposing of evidence? What are they going to be looking out for?
I mean, the main thing they're going to look out for is any type of explosive devices that may be contained that he had in his possession. We don't know. We don't have a clear motive in terms of why he conducted this mass shooting, right? So you're going to be looking for any explosives. You're going to be looking for IEDs. You're going to look for booby traps. But once you get cleared that initial phase of the entry, you're going to start putting the pieces together, looking for physical evidence that's going to tie that shooter or that person back to the Brown University shooting. And then, as you just reported, we have a potential second murder, the MIT professor. They're going to be looking for evidence that can connect the same shooter to the murder of the MIT professor. So not only
We still don't have a
physical
name.
evidence, but they're going to be looking for DNA. You know, keep in mind you have a continued
I'm withholding
crime
judgment
scene
on
at
this
Brown
so far.
University, where
They've
they're
so
still
far
working on
fucked
collecting evidence.
everything
So they want
else
to
up.
connect all the
So
dots
I'm not giving
before
them
they
the benefit
turn
of the
that
doubt on
warehouse
this
over
one.
back to the owner. I'm going to suggest through the weekend, maybe through Monday or Tuesday, they're going to be in there going through that warehouse.
Jamie Copenhaver is a law enforcement expert. He's joining us. Been so helpful as we've been tracking this story this week. I want to read you something from the Associated Press, Jamie. This is new to me. The AP says investigators believe the man is responsible for both the shooting at Brown and the killing of a Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor who was fatally shot in his Brookline home Monday, the official said. This is an official speaking to the Associated Press off the record.
Who is
Authorities
this
have
guy?
not formally
Is he an
confirmed a
assassin?
connection between the two
what?
shootings, the AP says. But again,
What's the
this is the
connection?
first I'm seeing an official confirmation from a news source saying investigators do in fact believe that the man is responsible for both the shooting at Brown and the killing of a Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor who was fatally shot at his home on Monday, Jamie. Okay, so this widens the scale of this, does it not?
Well, it certainly does. I mean, my spidey senses went up as you were reading that, right? Now it changes gear. But let's back up for a moment. I can assure you the officials knew this individual before this came on the airways, right? And where I'm going
So the
with that,
MIT
Austin, is
professor-
now it broadens that investigation. So my first question as an investigator, what was this MIT professor working on that would cause him to lose his life to a homicide?
Plasma Science
we don't
Infusion Center.
know what project he was currently working on. Coming from the ERA investigation part of my being, did this shooter or other accomplices
Theoretical
have,
physicist and fusion
something planned for
scientist.
additional cities or locations?
Was known for his
you just don't
award-winning
travel to
research
another
in
state to murder
magnetized
an
plasma
MIT professor
dynamics.
without having a motive. We just don't know what the motive is. So I would be very, very concerned what the shooter could have gained from that MIT professor and why he was murdered, which it may give a clear motive as to what he was going to do down the road, if not caught.
So About 15 minutes ago, we heard a 20-minute warning for this press conference. They did say, though, it'll likely be longer than 20 minutes. So I just want to make the audience aware that if the 20-minute deadline holds up, technically we would expect to hear from police within the next 5 minutes. But they did say it'll likely be longer than that. We'll tune into that press conference and we'll play it out in full, uninterrupted, as soon as it begins. Jamie, now that the threat is
So
neutralized,
this guy killed a
what's the
literal
next priority
nuclear
for
scientist
agencies?
at
You've already alluded
MIT
to this, but
and
I
then
would
went
love
to
if you could
Brown.
expand on it. What's the next
I guess this
priority?
happened after the
Is it
Brown
accomplices? Is it confirming
shooting.
whether he
So,
was
so he killed
linked
some
to
kids at
perhaps
Brown
other
University,
violent
and then he goes and
incidents
kills
other
a
than the two
literal
you and I
nuclear
discussed?
scientist at MIT?
Yeah, all of the above in a priority situation, if you will. So you want to make sure that there's nothing out there, such as explosives or any other actors that are going to continue to carry out threats or violence to any other persons on any of these cities, right? So that's number one, to identify, did he have accomplices? Were they a grand plan, if you will, to do additional shootings or harmful acts? That would be the number one. Number two, you're going to look for any evidence that would suggest any explosive devices that may have been planted by the shooter. We just don't know that. There's nothing to indicate that he did. We haven't heard that, but I would certainly be looking at that, given the fact they're tying the suspect to the murder of the MIT professor. That's concerning. And then you're going to start doing just basically 101 police work, Austin. You're going to start collecting all the evidence. You're going to do a data dump for any additional devices that the shooter had in his possession that they found tonight.
The targets are all over the place. It's
Were there any clues inside that vehicle? And more importantly, you want to connect that shooter to the shooting at Brown University, which means, shell casings, weapons, any of the above that would connect that case to the shooter. And then you have a secondary investigation out of the MIT professor's shooting death. You want to connect that evidence and possibly identify were there any other actors involved in that murder case. So it's going to be a huge task for law enforcement. It's going to take several weeks to come up with that early evaluation, but that's what they're going to start working on tonight.
So, Jamie, what kinds of evidence and really what level of confidence would need to exist to confirm that the same person was responsible for both the university shooting and the MIT professor's killing?
Yeah, that's a good question. We really haven't heard the type of weapon used at Brown U, right? It's been reported that it was a long gun. It was reported that it was a semi-automatic 9mm.
Lots
of
things
We don't know
were
that,
reported.
Austin, to be fact. But you're going to be looking for shell casings at Brown University, and then you're going to be looking at any potential weapons found or discovered tonight in their search at this warehouse. You're going to take that weapon and the shell casings and see if that matches up to the weapon they found on the suspect tonight. Presumably, they find one. Moreover, you're going to be looking at DNA evidence. You're going to be looking at fingerprints. Somewhere on that university, he had to have made entry into that school. So they're going to, they've already processed the area of the shooting at Brown U, so they want to make sure that those fingerprints match the deceased, the dead suspect tonight. And then, the data dump. They're going to be able to triangulate, has he been held up in that warehouse since the shooting? We don't know. So if he has any type of device on him, they'll be able to download that device and hopefully come up with some clues and build a timeline after the shooting. And then you have the murder of the MIT professor. Does that device connect with the shooting suspect they have tonight? Does that connect to the travel and the timeline of the MIT professor? So it's going to be a lot of physical evidence, but a lot of data evidence that's going to have to be combed through by the analysts.
So in a case like this, and by the way, Jamie Copenhaver joining us, being generous with his time tonight. I'm Austin Westfall. We are awaiting, for anybody just joining us in progress, we're awaiting a press conference from officials in Providence, Rhode Island. The Providence Police Department expected to give an update sometime shortly. We got the 20-minute heads up about just a little over 20 minutes ago, but they said it could be a little bit longer than 20 minutes. So we're going to stand pat. We're going to bring you the press conference in full as soon as it begins. Does look like we have our chopper vantage point back. WBZ bringing us a bird's eye view of this scene in Salem, New Hampshire. And then we've got in the top corner of your screen a ground view of the exact same location. Obviously, the press conference is what we're watching for in the bottom box on your screen. No telling exactly when that press conference will start, but we expect it to start pretty soon here. Jamie, in a case like this, where one incident is a mass shooting on a college campus and the other is a targeted killing of a professor at his home, are different investigative units likely brought in for each situation?
Well, you're going to have investigators and homicide investigators from the respective agencies. Here's the other caveat to that. You're going to have the FBI involved. You're going to have the Marshal Service involved with that. The main player in this, because it was acting out with a weapon, you're going to have the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, involved for any firearm-related investigation. So they're able to trace weapons and find out who that weapon was presumably sold to. In terms of the 101 police work, I mean, the homicide detectives from Providence has already started their investigation, and now they're sharing information with this MIT investigation of the murder professor. So all the above, and then you have the evidence collection. So, here's a good question. Dealing with the MIT professor's murder, are there any evidence that were located at that crime scene that can connect back to any of the crime scene at Brown University, i.e. the same type of bullets, the same shell casings? Was it the same type of round fired from the same weapon? So a lot of it's preliminary, but they're looking and analyzing all of the above by all the agents.
A motive is still unclear at this point, but how do investigators evaluate whether the suspect may have had a targeted motive against the MIT professor?
Yeah, data dumped from devices, any ledgers or manifestos that he may have written out. Unfortunately, Austin, we've seen these time after time, and after these suspects are identified, you'll always have a neighbor or a family member that'll come forth and say something along the lines, we knew it wasn't right with this guy. Something wasn't right. We heard him talking. He was talking about violent acts. And, this stuff needs to be reported before these people act out. So they're going to look at all of the above to come up with a clear motive. And I can almost promise you that you're going to hear something from a family or a neighbor that's going to come out and say, we knew something wasn't right with this person. We just didn't report it. So, they're going to do neighborhood canvasses for additional witnesses at all of the crime scenes to include the shooter's neighborhood itself. They want to identify the neighbors, interview those neighbors. They may be an intricate part building a timeline, if you will.
So let's just fill in some of the gaps in the timeline if we can while we await the press conference. From your perspective, what gaps still exist and perhaps what are the most important gaps that still exist in the timeline between the MIT killing, the Brown shooting, and the suspect's arrival at the Salem storage facility?
First and foremost, we've heard the leaders over in Providence come out many times. Please review your Ring video cameras to see if you have anything days leading up to the Brown University shooting. So, what they're looking for, and that would telegraph to me that they're looking to see if the suspect may have been there casing out the university, right? To show a pattern, to get his timing right so he could potentially enter that school to avoid video cameras. Also, you're going to be looking, and here's something we haven't added, you're going to be looking to build that timeline on videos. Once they have this car, which they have it in their possession, presumably it's the shooter's car, they're going to look for any red light cameras, any pole cameras that may capture that car going up to the MIT professor's location for that murder to solidify and help build a timeline of the shooter. So they're going to be looking and combing through all of that data, Austin. But, I was talking to a local Fox affiliate yesterday about this case. We watched the 1-hour crime TV shows, and we see those crimes solved within that 60 minutes. And, this is playing out. It's been since Saturday. It's starting to make progress and get solved, but these things take time. It's a lot of work. You have a lot of people doing different tasks.
Okay, Jamie Copenhaver, we appreciate the insight. We are getting movement at the Providence Police Department press conference. Let's listen into what they know. This is live.
Chris, come over to the side. Take the X that says CP.
Yes, sir.
We got everybody? Great.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight, our Providence neighbors can finally breathe a little easier. In a minute, Colonel Perez will share the latest details on the investigation, but I want to thank the people of Providence for stepping up and coming together during an extraordinarily difficult time. I know this has been hard on all of us. Over the past 5 days, minutes have felt like hours, but the people of Providence have done what we're best at. We've leaned on one another, come together, and supported one another, and showed the nation what a tight-knit community looks like. It was because of the information provided to us by neighbors and the tireless work of our Providence Police Department, the Rhode Island State Police, the FBI, the ATF, and many other federal partners. The incredible prosecutorial advice and guidance that we received from the Attorney General's office. We all worked well together to be able to identify this suspect. I know we will have a lot of questions still, and we will continue to work to get those answers. But it is a great honor for me to turn this over to our Chief of Police, Colonel Oscar Perez, and I will say on behalf of the people of Providence, we owe him and every member of the Providence Police Department the deepest debt of gratitude. Colonel?
Well, first and foremost, I want to offer my deepest condolences to the families, the victims. It was for them that this work was put together to make sure that they get the justice that they deserve and to ensure that this person was held accountable. Second thing I'll tell you is that I'm extremely proud of this department, actually the officers, the detectives, the Real-Time Crime Center, the Community Response Team, the Intelligence Division, the Narcotics Division, the Task Force. This past Saturday, as you all know, December 13, Providence Police Department and Brown University Police Department responded to this horrific tragedy at Brown University 184 Hope. Our officers were there within minutes. That same day, Providence Police detectives immediately went to work. Looking for video footage to see who this individual was and who was responsible. A person of interest was identified from that video footage. The person of interest was observed on Hope Street, turning onto Waterman Street, and that was one of the first videos that we released. At the same time, every federal agency you can think of was reaching out to the Providence Police Department and responded to the capital city. Images were shared with media within hours. Persons of interest it was the same individual that has been the focus of this investigation since the beginning. All the new images that we received of this person of interest were shared with the media continuously over the past 6 days. This critical evidence was collected with the use of public assistance. As the mayor stated, I'm proud to be the chief of police of this city. I'm proud to be a product of this city for the reasons that the mayor stated. The community stepped up. It was all about groundwork, public assistance, interviews of individuals, and good old-fashioned policing. That is the type of police work that every police officer in this nation reminds themselves of, and that many do not understand. And that is critically important and often succeeds where technology alone cannot. We looked at financial records, we looked at video footages, and in the specific incident, it was actually a video that provided us with a description of a vehicle That was corroborated through a tip that was received to the tip center. That room was packed with detectives, agents receiving calls on a daily basis. We started early and left late. Then Flock and the LPR was able to provide us with this description of this vehicle. That vehicle was picked up by Flock, which led us to a car rental place in Massachusetts. Through that, the agents and their work as well were able to get us footage of this individual, as well as a copy of the agreement which provided his real name. The video of that subject matched the description of that person of interest that this police department was desperate to put handcuffs on. That individual was identified as Claudio Neves Valenti, date of birth, and he was a 48-year-old man. He was a Brown student, he was a Portuguese national, and his last known address was in Miami, Florida. And I will tell you that he took his own life tonight. We have members of the Providence Police Department up in Salem, New Hampshire, and we also have the BCI unit. Obviously, the FBI and their evidence recovery unit is up there, so the process is being conducted as we speak. And it goes without saying that I would like to personally thank the efforts again of the Providence Police Department, the Rhode Island State Police, the Rhode Island Attorney General, the FBI, the ATF, HSI, the U.S. Marshals, IRS, DEA, Secret Service, and NCIS. There is no way that we could have done this by ourselves. In this nation, when horrific incidents like this happen, law enforcement steps up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. General Arana.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. You know, I would describe the emotions on the investigative team, including our prosecutors and the agents, detectives from both state police, Providence, as mixed. You know, there is a sense of completeness in terms of the investigation, an investigation that's, if not the hardest, among the handful of hardest investigations that I've ever been involved with. And the sense that we owed those 2 dead Brown students and the 9 injured Brown students and the students who were in that auditorium that weren't injured, and the Brown community and the Providence community results. The teams worked really hard. I think I mentioned that to you almost every night that we met with you. I wish they were all up here with us. That we wouldn't fit here, but it was remarkable to see the cooperation between the FBI agents, the ATF agents, the HSI agents, the Providence police detectives, the state police detectives, our prosecutors. And I will say that everybody brought a certain expertise to the table, but it is nevertheless a sad moment when you think about those young people who were hurt, injured, or worse, 2 of them are now deceased. You know, to me, this was always going to be an investigation where something was going to break it open. We were going to pull threads. We were going to gather evidence that would lead us in a particular direction. And I will say that if we were with you less than, well, I guess now more than 24 hours ago, we had that picture of that second individual. And I would say within an hour, no more than 2, I think it was under an hour, that person came forward to 2 Providence police officers over on the east side and said he had information, that he was that person, and he had information that could help this case. And I remember last night watching his interview, and he blew this case right open. He blew it open. And that's how these cases sometimes go. You can feel like you're not making a lot of progress. You can feel like you're chasing leads and they don't work out. But the team keeps going because, you know, those of us with experience know that you're going to pull a lot of threads, and it's not always the first one that's going to get you where you need to go. But when you do crack it, you crack it. And that person led us to the car, which led us to the name, which led us to the photographs of that individual renting the car, which matched the clothing of our shooter here in Providence, that matched the satchel that we see here in Providence. He was found dead with a satchel, with 2 firearms, and evidence in the car that that matches exactly what we see at the scene here in Providence. And so I know that you and the public have questions about how we got from a place yesterday where all we could share with you was a photograph of someone we wanted to talk to where we got to tonight. And so we got an state arrest warrant for murder today that was signed by a district court judge for this individual. There won't be a prosecution now, of course, but that affidavit is on our website, and you will be able to see more and read more about how this investigation unfolded. I won't get you all the way there because there are some things that happened afterwards which led us to this suspect's body in New Hampshire. But it will, I think, tell you, give you a sense of the work that went into this by the line prosecutors and the line agents and detectives from the agencies that work so well together. So, as I said, it's with mixed emotions. It is unimaginable, the pain that the parents and families of the deceased are feeling tonight and will feel undoubtedly for quite a while. But I hope that by bringing this person to justice, that we can at least give them the beginnings of some measure of closure. And I want to thank you all for your patience with me when I got a little testy with some of you. Those of you who know me from Rhode Island, you know that's my nature. So I really want to thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, General. As has been said several times, the partnership with the FBI was invaluable. And so it's a pleasure to introduce Special Agent in Charge of FBI, Ted Dox.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. My name is Ted Dox, Special Agent in Charge of FBI Boston. We got him. Shortly before 9 o'clock tonight, the FBI SWAT team executed court-authorized search warrants at a storage unit facility in Hampshire Road in Salem, New Hampshire. This is where we located Claudio Neves Valente, the individual who we believe was responsible for the Brown shooting. The latest developments in an intense 5-day manhunt, and is a result of an incredible amount of work dedicated by the law enforcement team standing here before you tonight. Every single agency brought their unique skills and expertise to this investigation, and we're motivated by the victims and survivors of this horrific incident. Even though the suspect was found dead tonight, our work is not done. There are many questions that need to be answered. There's a lot of evidence that needs to be processed, and most importantly, the victims and their families deserve special care and consideration. The FBI and our partners across Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire will continue to search for answers for the victims, survivors, and their families, to see what motivated this individual to carry out such a senseless act of violence. From the onset of this critical incident, it's been all hands on deck. The FBI deployed approximately 500 special agents, analysts, task force officers, and support personnel to assist our partners in this investigation. In addition to this extra manpower, all our specialty teams were activated, including Evidence Response Team, SWAT, Divert, and Victim Services Response Team, just to name a few. A special thanks to you, the media, as well as to the community. My sincere thanks to Colonel Perez, Colonel Weaver, AG Nerona, Brown University PD, and all of our partners. This was truly a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Another critical partner at every step along the way was the ATF. I'd like to introduce Special Agent in Charge of the ATF, Tom Greco.
Good evening. My name is Tom Greco, a special agent in charge of ATF Boston. From the moment 911 reports of the shooting at Brown University came through, there's been an around-the-clock effort to identify the perpetrator and to protect the community. The men and women of ATF, including our special agents, our intelligence research specialists, and our support personnel, have been proud to support and be part of that effort, leveraging our unique experience, dedicated investigators, canine handlers, and crime gun intelligence technology such as NIBIN, the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, to compare ballistic evidence, and our other available tools to support the investigation, and to help identify Claudio Neves Valente as the individual that we believe was responsible. ATF's mission, first and foremost, is to protect communities from violent crime. Each individual in this country deserves to live in peace and security in their homes, in their schools, in their places of worship, and in the streets. The actions of Claudio Neves Valente stole that right and terrorized the community. I'd like to emphasize to the public, this was a highly dangerous individual capable of extreme violence. And we're happy to have been part of this investigation and proud to have worked with our partners to identify him and see this through. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. From the very outset on Saturday, from our first press conference in the fire station to today, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee has been by Providence's side every step of the way. The city of Providence is incredibly grateful for the governor's support, the state police, not just their assistance with the investigation, but in supporting the broader community. It's a pleasure to introduce Governor Dan McKee.
Thanks, Mayor, and clearly your staff, I feel the same way with the team that you have, that we were happily able to assist. And as a former mayor, many of here in the audience know that I've been a mayor, some don't, but I empathize and sympathize with the position that you were in and the fact that you needed people to follow the lead of the Providence police and to partner in with some extraordinary people, whether it's with the FBI or the ATF, and of course our state police as well. From the very beginning, my thoughts as a dad was with the families who suffered from the shooting. The unthinkable happened in our state. The unthinkable happened in Providence. The unthinkable happened at Brown University. And we're going to be forever changed. But our commitment from the state level is to continue to support Providence, Brown, and the people of the state of Rhode Island in the recovery that's going to take a great deal of time. But I do say this. The professionalism that I saw in the law enforcement should make everyone that lives in our state and beyond our borders feel very safe. These things happen, but it requires some professional help in law enforcement to bring it to the conclusion that we've been able to bring it to. So, Colonel, thank you, everybody involved. And again, we will stand with Providence and Brown University and the people of the state of Rhode Island to provide the help that will be needed in the recovery in a trauma like this.
Thank you, Governor. Throughout the year, the Rhode Island State Police is an incredible partner to Providence, but during this investigation, their support was invaluable. I introduce Colonel of State Police, Colonel Weaver.
My name is Colonel Darnell Weaver, the Superintendent of the Rhode Island State Police. I want to begin by recognizing the excellent and exceptional efforts of the Providence Police Department and Colonel Oscar Perez. From the very first moments of this investigation, the Providence Police Department has worked collaboratively and relentlessly day and night on this investigation while protecting our capital city. Their detectives followed facts, developed evidence, and pursued every credible lead. Colonel Perez's leadership has been steady and decisive, focused on identifying the person responsible for this tragedy. As always, our troopers stepped up, working shoulder to shoulder with the Providence Police and our local, state, and federal partners. I want to give particular recognition to our detectives, whose diligence and dedication contributed to this investigation. Our detectives and division leadership operated as a unified team, sharing intelligence, resources, and expertise. This has truly been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, as virtually every trooper has taken extra shifts to help support the efforts in Providence, and I have never been prouder to be a member of the Rhode Island State Police. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Rhode Island State Police, and this case stands out among one of the most challenging in our state's history. The sheer volume of digital evidence, the complexity of the investigation, and the intense public interest laid an extraordinary demands on everyone involved. Despite that pressure, investigators remain disciplined, methodical, and focused on facts. We are grateful for the assistance of the public, particularly those who shared our information, provided tips, and gave us doorbell camera footage and access to their property. We are also thankful for the ongoing support of Rhode Islanders. We know that you have been with us through this entire investigation. I also want to be very clear about something else. Criminal investigations are grounded in evidence, not speculation or online commentary. The endless barrage of misinformation, disinformation, rumors, leaks, and clickbait were not helpful in this investigation. Distractions and unfounded criticisms do not support this work. They complicate it and threaten to undermine the justice we seek for the victims and the grieving families. Despite these challenges, good police work prevailed, and we have lessons that we can bring forward from these long days ahead. To the Brown University community and the people of Rhode Island, be assured that this case reflects the law enforcement community and what we are capable of, and that we are committed to this state. We will continue to support the victims and the broader community as the healing continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Providence is so proud to be home to Brown University, and we are committed to working together with them in the future as they help heal their community as we do our broader Providence community. We continue to give condolences to the deceased and our prayers to those who are recovering. The leader of Brown has been a great partner through this whole process. I'd like to introduce President Christina Paxson from Brown University.
Thank you. Nothing can really fully bring closure to the lives that have been shattered over the past week, but this may allow our community to move forward and begin a path of repair and recovery and healing. I want to thank the dedicated law enforcement agencies that have worked so tirelessly on this case, really around the clock, as well as our neighbors and others who participated in giving tips and helping with the investigation. We hope that this outcome tonight brings an increased sense of safety for our community at Brown and in the surrounding area. This has been a period of great fear and anxiety for many people, and now perhaps some form of relief. Truly, this week has been devastating for our community in a number of ways, including the experiences that members of our community have had with being targeted by online rumors and accusations. And I hope that this development also means an end to this truly troubling activity. So we remain focused on the safety and security of our community and in support for the victims of this senseless violence. Now, we know the public and our own Brown community members will want to know more about the individual now identified by law enforcement as the suspect in last weekend's shooting. And we can confirm the following to the best of our knowledge, based on our review in the very short time since law enforcement authorities made us aware of this development. And we provided this information to law enforcement as they build their case and wrap up the investigation. So Claudia Manuel Neves Valente was enrolled at Brown from the fall of 2000 to the spring of 2001. He was admitted to Brown's graduate school to study in the Master's of Science PhD program in physics, beginning on September 1st, 2000. And he took a leave of absence effective April 2001 before formally withdrawing effective July 31st, 2003. During his time at Brown, Nueves Valente was enrolled only in physics classes. The majority of physics classes at Brown have always been held within the Barris and Hawley classrooms and labs. Now, detailed records indicating where specific courses were held don't extend back to 2001. But we can say that physics classes typically require access to specialized equipment, including demonstration carts that are a fixed asset in some of Barris and Hawley classrooms. So I think it's safe to assume that this man, when he was a student, spent a great deal of time in that building for classes and other activities as a PhD student in physics. He has no current active affiliation with the university or campus presence. So again, we thank law enforcement and so many others for their extensive work on this case, day and night. And we look forward to a sense of restored safety for Brown, Providence, and the Rhode Island communities. Thank you.
Thank you, President Paxson. The last speaker, and then we will take your questions, is the Chief of the Brown Police Department, Chief Chapman. Remember, his officers were the first to respond on Saturday, and we are so grateful for both their immediate and heroic response and their partnership over the last 5 days. Chief?
I want to express my ongoing prayers and care and concern for our entire community. I certainly also want to acknowledge and thank the men and women of the Brown University Police and Public Safety for their efforts. As you see, this was a Herculean task and required a lot of collaboration and work. And our officers and our public safety personnel were shoulder to shoulder with these assets. I do want to also thank all of you who have helped citizens and law enforcement. That partnership and collaboration means the world to us, and we couldn't have gotten there without you. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll now open up to questions. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What led authorities to link the incidents between Brown University and MIT?
And
I can follow up to that.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll just tell you that a lot of the information and evidence that we ended up gathering linked us to a connection up in Massachusetts, but obviously at the MIT. But I feel a respect to the authorities in Mass as well as the FBI that's for them to comment. But I'll tell you that the groundwork that started in the city of Providence by our detectives, the detective division under the command of Major LaPayan, as well as the federal partners that we had in our room upstairs, and ATF, the FBI, led us to that connection. And so that was great work.
Special FBI, well, does FBI want to weigh in on that? And then I have a follow-up.
I think through that particular link that you're talking about, that case is being worked out of Massachusetts with the leadership of U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. I believe that they're having a press conference today as well, where they'll reveal more to the general public at that time. I'd be remiss to start and kind of talk on this, to let them kind of have first dibs to kind of be the ones to tell the public about those particular links.
And your follow-up.
But your follow-up, sir.
As for the second person who came forward what did that person tell you, and did that person know the shooter?
So yeah, obviously, I had mentioned at the last press conference that it was a person that we wanted to speak with. The work of the video collections that we had led us to identify that there was a person that actually encountered this individual. So it corroborated everything that we saw. We saw a person of interest. We saw that there was a vehicle involved. When this person came in, broke the case in the sense that explained to us exactly what we thought we had seen and put that individual at the crime scene. Obviously, that was the break, because we knew that we were in the right direction to ensure that we were going after this individual. Obviously, took his life.
Colonel.
Go ahead. Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Did Mr. Valenti act alone, and is there an anti-Semitism component behind this, do you expect?
As far as we know, Steve, he acted alone.
And is there an anti-Semitism component to this?
No, that we know of, no.
John.
Colonel, what was the events that led to the storage facility? So was he pursued there? Did he know authorities were going after him? When was he last alive? Like, how did that play out?
So it plays out in the sense that we obviously, I just stated, we collected all the evidence. We were able to learn that there was a rental vehicle. We learned about that vehicle. There was financial records that were verified by the FBI, obviously, and other agencies. I'm sorry, actually, so another agency, so multiple agencies that verified financial records that brought us to that site to know that he had actually rented a site at the storage unit, and then we ended up in Salem.
In a follow-up,
Yeah.
when he did that, did he know authorities were coming, or did he just go and, like, how long had he been in that storage unit?
That we're not aware of, John, in the sense that all we knew is that we were on a manhunt, and that's what he led us to. So.
Amanda.
Oh, thanks. Chief, I have some questions for you, Claudio. So he graduated, well, he did graduate. He was at Brown more than 20 years ago. His last known address was in Miami, but now he's here at Brown University, potentially also at MIT. What do you know about what brought him up here?
There's going to be unknown answers that we have no answer as far as that. Obviously, came up here and committed this horrific incident and this tragedy, and that's all we knew. Our mission was to ensure that we could find him and bring him to justice. But yeah, no. At this point, correct.
And my follow-up is of the evidence that you've collected. Have you collected the handgun that you believe was used in the shooting? Have you collected any type of manifesto or evidence? Have you planned more shootings?
So as far as I know, that's the FBI evidence recovery team is up in Salem, New Hampshire, and they're collecting whatever evidence is up there. This happened just now, as before we came up here.
Bill.
Any criminal history, political affiliations, any social media posts, anything of that sort that you can report to us about Mr. Valenti?
Nothing that I know of, Steve.
Behind him. Go ahead, white shirt.
Is there any indication that Mr. Valenti was planning any future attacks?
Nothing that we know of, no.
In the way back.
Special Agent Docs, can you also tell us if the connection, I know you said you can't talk too much about the MIT, but the fact that it was a physics professor at MIT and in the physics building and he was studying physics, have you tied all that up, and does that leave, why target one person in Massachusetts and then a whole class here in Providence?
Yes, it is true that Mr. Valenti was a physics student. Also, we know that the MIT, the victim there, was in that discipline as well. I will tell you that there's multiple phases to an investigation. And so now, in a sense that we know the subject is deceased, now that investigation continues to find out all of those answers to your question, sir.
Did you go to school with a professor? Did you go to school with a professor who was killed? Can Brown answer that?
It is believed that in Lisbon, that those two individuals attended the same university in Portugal.
You have a follow-up in the back.
Muy poquito.
Go for it. Sorry, empiezo desde el principio.
Lo que nos pueda resumir acerca del caso, qué fue lo que conllevó a que ustedes pudieran dar con el paradero del sospechoso y las conexiones que tuvieron, cómo llegaron a rastrearlo y más que nada a qué atribuye todo esto.
So the question was if I can briefly explain how we got to this individual and what occurred. Verdaderamente lo que pasó, obviamente el incidente del sábado 13 nos llevó a tomar evidencias, colectar evidencias de videos, de informaciones, y expliqué que es muy importante el trabajo de los policías y los detectives en el piso, haciendo el trabajo duro, recolectando videos, recolectando testimonios. En este tipo de casos recibimos información, obviamente, de los videos que colectamos. Nos dimos cuenta que había un vehículo de interés y una persona de interés desde el principio. Eso nos llevó a después informarnos de la placa del carro, la descripción del carro, y eso nos llevó a darnos cuenta de que esa persona había rentado el vehículo en una compañía en Massachusetts. Después de que fue a Massachusetts, cogimos videos de la persona. Esa persona era en la misma descripciones de la persona de interés de nosotros acá en la ciudad de Providence. De ahí pasamos con los agentes federales a investigar un poco más, y llegamos a los récords financieros que nos llevó a Salem, New Hampshire, en esta noche. Allá hubo una entrada táctica del equipo del FBI y encontramos que esta persona se había quitado la vida ellos mismos. Ahora estamos investigando más si hay algo que necesitamos saber más de él.
Alex. Colonel or AG, is there a note or manifesto of some kind, and is that providing any information about a motive or anything that they might have done leading up to?
Again, the FBI recovery team and forensics are up in Salem, New Hampshire. At this point, we don't have any of that.
Any indication of why now? What's the significance behind why this happened on Saturday?
That we don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we know the answer to that question. I think there's a lot of unknowns with respect to motive. I mean, I think that the real issue here is the key was to identify this person, as we talked about yesterday. I think there are other answers that are coming, but once we were able to identify him, thanks to that individual who came forward, who led us to a plate, which led us to a rental car, which led us to that he rented that car in his own name. That really broke the case open. But in terms of why Brown, I think that is a mystery. I think there may be something going on in Massachusetts that I'm not fully familiar with because we're working this angle, but I think the Massachusetts authorities may be able to share that. Yeah, I don't think we have any idea why now or why Brown, why these students, why this classroom. That is really unknown to us, and it may become clear. I hope that it does, but it hasn't as of right now.
Fox, go ahead. This is for the Colonel or the Attorney General. At 2:16, there was a surveillance video that showed the second person that apparently blew this case wide open, and also Mr. Valente. You see them disappear behind bushes. Was this second person following the shooter? Did he recognize him and confront him? What was that interaction like? And I have a follow-up.
That's a great question, and I'll explain in the affidavit that the general stated that it will be released. But I'll give you a brief sort of explanation about that. The person that we wanted to speak with had an interaction with this individual earlier in the day, then observed him later at that time, what you just stated, and decided that he was going to encounter him and asked him why he was inside Brown. At that point, the subject of interest, Neves, actually ran. He was caught up by our person that we wanted to speak with. There was sort of a conversation between the two of them, and Neves asked him, "Why are you harassing me?" And at that point, the person that broke the case walked away. And that information was critical to us because he was able to corroborate what our detectives were seeing on video, and he was able to provide a great explanation.
And my follow-up question
Yes.
is, why did it take a citizen to notice a suspicious person right next to Brown University and not the police? And also, how long was the vehicle parked where it was? And was it days, hours, minutes? What are you talking
It appeared to be days as far as the evidence. Why would a civilian observe that to be suspicious? It's a great point. And I like the fact that you're mentioning that and bringing that up. That's what we should all be doing, right? And it's just personality. Some people are more interested in finding out what others are doing. In this particular case, this person decided that he wanted to, and I'm glad he did.
Should the police be interested in that, not citizens? That's what
In the back.
Now that the suspect, Attorney General, now that the suspect won't be prosecuted, can you explain what he yelled in the classroom to America tonight so people can be a little more comfortable?
Sure.
Was it something, terrorist related? Was it something specific to the kids in that class?
Yeah.
What did he say? Can you now tell us?
Yeah, well, back to that question just for a minute, just to clarify that. They had a interaction in the bathroom in Barris and Holly. So, you know, I don't know, the Providence Police is obviously not going to patrol Barris and Holly. That's a question for, frankly, for Brown and their police department. So they had an interaction there, and then our citizen, you know, followed him out, because to him, as he explained it to us, this guy did not belong there. And so that's why he followed him out. In terms of what was said, I don't know any more today than what I told you yesterday, or the day before. There are some witnesses who said he said nothing. There are some that say he made a barking noise. Don't ask me. I don't know why. And that's it. There is no other spoken word beyond that we are aware of as we stand before you tonight. And we have spoken to everybody that we have been able to locate who's been inside that building.
And just to the special agent in charge, my follow-up question is, can you just be clear to the people of Massachusetts? And I know you said the people in Norfolk County investigated the mass, but you did say a few days ago that you talked to the colonel of the state police and said there's no connection between Brookline and what happened here in Rhode Island. But now you're saying there was a connection. So are you saying that he shot up Brown University, then 2 days later he was at this house in Brookline to shoot this MIT professor, and then he just drove up to Salem, New Hampshire for no reason? How did he get into a storage facility?
No, I think that's a great question. My actual statement was that we didn't see a connection at that time. But absolutely, I spoke to the colonel. Right now, that case is being resided over by U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. They're having a press conference at 10 o'clock tonight, I believe. I think at that time, they will speak to that particular case. I would be getting a little bit ahead of my skis if I spoke to that case without consultation with Leah Foley and her team, as we've been in the trenches working this up to the minute today, sir.
I guess 2 days ago you didn't know they were connected. Now you're saying they appear to be.
Yes, and that's how cases often go. I would say at that time, when that question was asked of me, there was no indication of a link at that time. As we've talked throughout this week, these breadcrumbs develop, and we'll see what she has to say today at 10 p.m.
If I just want to jump in here on that, please. I just want to jump in here on that because it's a good question. It's an important one. So just to put everyone's mind at ease who's listening now, he didn't just drive to some random storage area. We found records with the help of the FBI and others that was his storage area. So he rented a car in Boston. He drove it. We were able to find that car in New Hampshire. We were able to find evidence in the car from looking at it from the outside that connected this individual to our crime scene here in Rhode Island. We were able to find visual evidence of him inside that storage facility, which, in my judgment, matches him to the Massachusetts scene. So you'll hear more, as the special agent said, but there is no question that was his storage unit, that he had a particular car, that we found that car because of this citizen coming forward and giving us a description of the car, and then our individual who came forward, we knew he was telling the truth because we could see it on the videotape. And so that was a series of things that broke this case, and that led us to Salem, where the suspect was found dead.
Staff. Believed to be living in Miami. Did he fly here at some point? How long was he in Providence for, and when did he obtain the guns?
Go ahead.
Yeah, he did, like I said, he'll be in the affidavit, but he did fly into Providence, I believe, earlier October, I believe. That's the right date. And what was the other question? I'm sorry, Steph.
Did he buy the guns here, or where did he get the guns?
So I'm sorry, I can't answer.
We don't know the answer to that, Steph, as we stand here right now.
Okay, you can't fly with them, so assuming he got them sometime after he arrived.
Well, that's possible. What we do know is that he was moving around New England in that October, November, December area. You remember, we just we know that there's a body in New Hampshire. We know that there are guns at the scene. It still remains to be examined, comparing those guns to the ballistics evidence we have in Rhode Island, and I imagine they'll do that in Massachusetts, but again, that's somebody else's investigation. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we match the DNA. But we are 100% confident that this is our target. and that this case is closed from a perspective of pursuing people involved.
And Steph, just to add, I think Special Agent Doc stated, obviously we didn't know who he was. And so it's very difficult to know what a person did prior without any knowledge of who that person is.
Dan. Can I just ask Special Agent this question? It sounds like from everything everybody's saying that the person who came forward to speak to you is kind of a hero in this story in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
We know that there's a $50,000 reward.
Mm-hmm.
You get the reward.
You know, I will say that in this particular situation, that individual will likely get absolutely some aspect out of that award. We've had a lot of other tips, I will tell you as well, that have come in from the public, and so I don't deal typically with the distribution of those rewards. But I mean, it would be logical to think that absolutely that individual would be entitled to some of that reward. Yes, sir.
Second row, red shirt. Go ahead. Yeah, you.
Thank you. Fox News Digital. Do we know when or how the suspects left Providence? For the colonel.
Well, we know he left Providence and committed a homicide in another state. On that, but we don't know. I'm sorry, how did he leave?
No, do we know when he left Providence?
Yeah, when he left. That's what as far as we know that he left, but we didn't. I believe his last activity was obviously when we found out he was in another state committing another crime.
Pat Ford, Coalition Radio. I'll throw this out to all of you, with particular regards to the Brown University president. A recurring theme for the last few days has been an outreach, ultimately successful, to the people of Rhode Island and the people of New England to track this individual down. While at the same time, we've got this sort of passive-aggressive criticism of individuals who are being actively asked to engage via social media, who are wildly spreading rumors, some of which couldn't have possibly emanated anywhere than law enforcement. And I do have a follow-up. So would anyone like to respond to that? I mean, it's kind of condescending to a lot of people. I know, Governor Key, you're confused. That's not uncommon. But the...
All right, that's uncalled for. All right, we're moving on. Current. Current.
Came forward with the case-breaking tip. Was that information originally posted online? Or was that person encouraged to come forward based on what people online have?
Correct. There was a tip that was placed online, and obviously we were doing our due diligence to find out who that tipster was. And then we were able to identify this person who we wanted to speak with, and then we learned that that person was actually the same person that put the tip on that up that you're speaking about.
Brian.
Sorry?
Does that person live in the area?
It was the same person that we brought into the police station to speak with.
The images that you showed at the beginning, where you can see Mr. Valente's face, where were those images taken from?
They were taken from the car rental business place that we learned about.
Not
That.
from where from?
No.
President Paxson, if you could, the situation is described that you had the suspected gunman and this other person had an encounter in the engineering building hours before the shooting. I had been told by an employee that there have been concerns raised at Brown previously about people getting in the building. Have you heard those, and was anything done to address those concerns about people getting into the building?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think we're going to have to look back and say, you know, we don't know how this person got in. We don't know when they came in. We do know that the building was unlocked that day for exams, and that's something we're going to have to look into.
Had you heard concerns from staff members in the past?
I have not personally heard concerns, but yeah.
Dan.
President Paxson, Dan Jay from NBC 10. I want to go back to the question I asked you Saturday night when I first arrived on the scene. There were no cameras in this building, and law enforcement, some that are standing up behind you, have said if Brown had cameras in that part of the building, we would have gotten this guy. And it may have stopped this swirling action. Can you answer that question for me?
Well, I don't think we have said the locations of cameras at Brown.
But there's no cameras in that building because why would they take it from a rental car agency?
We have 1,200 cameras at Brown.
But not in that building.
We have some in that building. It's a large complex. And I think what you would see is the video evidence in this case, from my perspective, I'm not a law enforcement agent, has been incredibly helpful. The moving of the person around the neighborhood, those video images, they helped crack this case. So I think video was important. And as the Attorney General explained at a recent press conference, this individual was not spending his time on the Brown campus. He came into a building on the edge of the campus. He left. He was in the neighborhoods. The investigation focused on the neighborhoods. The video was there. And that was really, really instrumental in cracking the case. But you can ask them.
And this is my follow-up, Madam President, if you'd say at the podium. Yes, video played a big role in this case. The neighbor's video, the rental car video, but not the video from the building that he walked in freely both before when he got in the confrontation and when he came back in and decided to kill people. You didn't have cameras in that building, just say it, so we could get this over. And my next question is, will you put cameras in the cameras in that building? Will there be more cameras in that building?
Yeah, you know, I think we need to look back. We'll look at everything that is done, but I do not think a lack of cameras in that building it had anything to do with what happened there. And we will go forward. Thank you.
Question for Tom Quinlan, WPRO. Colonel Perez, I'm hearing from sources that the person that identified the shooter happened to be a homeless person that either lived around or inside that Barris and Holly building. Can you confirm more about this person for us? And then I have a follow-up for President Paxton.
I'll tell you there was a person that was pretty attentive about his surroundings. I'll tell you there was a person that was very cooperative and helpful to this investigation. And I'll tell you that he was a great individual that actually assisted us in getting us to this point where we're at. I'll tell you that.
Graduate?
He was, yes.
I have to say, he was incredibly articulate, and his testimony, had we needed it, would not only have been credible, it would have been persuasive. He was as outstanding a witness as I've seen, and he deserves a lot of credit. You know, recognizing there's a gunman on the loose, that the gunman knows he had this interaction with him, and he didn't, once he knew that we were looking for his help, I mean, he came forward within an hour. And that person deserves a tremendous amount of credit. I don't know whether he's going to get the reward or not, but if I had a vote, he would.
All right, Tom, you got to follow. You're done? Go ahead. Go ahead.
My question was for Chair Chapman, if you wouldn't mind. In October, the Brown Daily Herald reported that you had a vote of no confidence in your leadership, and students were concerned for their safety and the fact that you had prioritized desk jobs over having over field jobs and having more people patrolling the campus. Now, in light of this, do you accept any kind of responsibility for this? And now that we've given these prior warnings, are you going to reevaluate how the Brown Police operate in the future now, so this doesn't happen again and these students can feel more safe on campus when they return?
Right. So as I stated earlier, I'm profoundly proud of the men and women of public safety and profoundly proud of our police department. We will continue with the heroic work that they've done and continue to work side by side with our partners. And everything else that comes with that is a continual effort to do what is best for the safety and security of our campus.
But will you reassess how the people are allocated within your department?
Every single day, we work and endeavor to keep our campus safe, whatever that entails and all that entails.
In the back.
Yes, thank you. I was wondering, maybe this is a question for the Colonel. Can you talk about, you said that 2 weapons were found in Valenci's car. Was that one of those weapons, the gun that was used to shoot here in Brown? Has that weapon been found? Can you speak to that?
That's all part of this continuing investigation. This just before we came downstairs, actually, as you all were watching, that was developing up in Salem, New Hampshire.
Can you say that the weapons were purchased?
Hold on a second. Yeah, those firearms were found at the deceased body, not in a car. So he killed himself inside the storage unit, and the firearms were found at his in the area of his thigh and in the area of his feet. It was not in a car. There was evidence that was observed from outside the car that matched our crime scenes, meaning mask, clothing satchel, which you can see on that video. And there was a main plate over a Florida plate. This guy was changing plates. One of the reasons it was so hard to find was he knew what he was doing. He was changing plates. And so, that's why the collective work of following and finding this car was made more difficult because this guy was changing plates. So we got a main plate and we got a Florida plate on the same car in New Hampshire.
Patrick.
As he was a...
Oh, I'm sorry. Especially, I was just going to add. Please. Tom Greco again from ATF. It's okay. As far as the ballistics evidence, I know that the last question concerned matching the guns found to the crime scene. As several people up here have said, this investigation is ongoing and in many ways, in some ways, just beginning. Those weapons that were found at the scene, we will be using our tools such as NIBIN to compare the ballistic evidence to see if we have any matches. So we use those tools to rule things in and to rule them out as well. So we'll be following up on that throughout the remainder of the investigation.
Patrick. Neves Valente was a Portuguese national. Under what status was he in the country, and how did he get into the country? Do we know at this point? And I have a follow-up after that.
You have that, Oscar? Yeah, I think. Yeah, I do. So, as far as we know, he had a student visa. He had came in here with a student visa, and we also had learned that he had applied to get a green card.
Do we know? And for President Paxson, does Brown?
And Patrick, if I could just be clear on that, he got that lawful permanent resident status in September of 2017.
Thank you. I was going to ask, but then, and for President Paxson, has Brown had any communication from Neves Valente in the period after he left until now?
As far as I know, no. He has really gone off our radar. We will continue to cooperate with the police as they continue with the investigation to find anything we can find about him. But his last class that he took at Brown was in 2001.
Straight back.
This question is for the Colonel or the Attorney General. If you hadn't focused on the wrong person of interest on day one, do you think the professor in Massachusetts would be alive?
Well, from the beginning, I've told you that this investigation is extremely complex and intense. And so we used every resource as soon as we responded to the call. I stated that earlier. I'm proud of the men and women of this department. Yes, we did find somebody that we thought obviously was the person, but we continued on. We continued on investigating. We continued on canvassing the areas. We continued on with video. And that's why we ended up where we're at now.
Yeah, if I could just jump in here, I just want to continue to answer that question. It's an important one, and the answer to that is this. And I tried to convey it a couple of days ago. We broke ourselves out into teams. So while the Providence team and the state police team and the ATF team were working here in Providence to follow up leads, develop whatever video evidence we can, which eventually led to all the steps that you've seen and are laid out in the affidavit, which is on our website, and it is multiple pages. You'll see the progression. So while the FBI were working Coventry, we were working here. Now, you may ask, well, what was it about Coventry that made us, for those of us who've been in law enforcement for a long time, why did we have to run that lead to ground? Here's why. When the FBI confronted him, initially, he was not cooperative. When they entered the room to secure it, there were guns in the room. One of them had a laser sight. The witnesses had told us there was a laser sight used in the course of the attack. Okay, we had to run that to ground. We couldn't just, not run that to ground. That was a very promising lead. But that's why you don't get over your skis about, and word choice is important. So while we had to test those ballistics and test the DNA off those guns, and that DNA ruled this guy out, okay? But we had to run that lead to ground. But while we're running that lead to ground over the course of Sunday, for the most part, my memory's correct, we were working other leads, which eventually led us through a recreation by the great work of the team, including the marshals, by the way, that are up here. Movements, image of our cooperating witness comes in, and you've heard the rest. So, this is the way these investigations work. You don't chase one and stop. We have chased more than one lead over the course of the last 4 to 5 days. There was one lead that we followed, didn't work out. There was another lead that we followed, didn't work out. There was another lead that we followed, didn't work out. So that's, at least in my mind, 5 different leads that one worked out, 4 didn't. but you're running them all down at the same time. So I can't offer any comfort in that regard. But I don't believe that we would have found this person any sooner, given the evidence that was available to us.
We're way back.
Can you say why it took so long to get the tipster's tip? It looks like he posted on Reddit on Monday and then said on Reddit that he told the FBI. Was it lost in the FBI's tip?
We received the tip about that post and immediately acted on it. And so that's exactly what occurred. As soon as the tip came in, we had a tip center upstairs that was staffed, as I mentioned earlier, by detectives and agents. They were going through hundreds of tips that were coming in, hundreds. We were vetting them through, ruling them out, just like the general stated. We were making sure that whatever came in, we checked it to his entire to ensure that we weren't missing anything. And so when we got to that tip, obviously, it led us to that person that we wanted to speak with, and I told you the rest earlier. So.
Yeah, and I just want to complete that too, because this is important. This person had to come forward. That's why we put the picture out. Once we put the picture out, he came forward, right? But we didn't know who that person was. We knew about what was on Reddit, but we didn't know who that person was. That's why when we identified another person, we didn't know when that person came forward that he was the Reddit poster. He then told us he was. Okay, so all of these things kind of happened in that sequence.
Chris?
This Valente figure, this is a question for President Paxton. Do we know why he left school early in 2001? Did he have a history of mental illness that was expressed during that time or reported at that time?
No, we learned his name very, very recently, and we haven't had a chance to really dig into the records. But we will if it helps with the investigation.
This is another question.
We're going to follow up question.
This is another question about a student visa. You said he's here on a student visa now. What school is he affiliated with? If he's here?
General. Yeah. So he's not here on a student visa now. He was initially, and then he applied for and received lawful permanent resident status in September of 2017. Okay?
Go right here.
What was Mr. Valente's profession, and have you searched his residence?
Again, as I stated earlier, we just identified with obviously that person, and this developed pretty quickly. So that's all part of the investigation that's coming.
And can you talk about, was there any interaction between him and law enforcement before he died?
No, not that we know.
I have a follow-up to her, and that is, do you know any associates of his, family members, friends, roommates, and if there are any in the United States, did any of them come forward through the process of this investigation?
No, not at this time. This evolved extremely quickly. We've been at this for 6 days. And so here we are, and we now identify who the person is. We're about to make an apprehension. As I stated earlier, he took his own life. But that's all part of the investigation that will continue about him. Go ahead.
Okay, so for President Paxton, Chief Burrows said he had no known criminal history that you know of. You were asked about possible mental illness while he was here. When he was at Brown, did he have any grievances, disputes with anyone, any problems, any disciplinary issues, any problems at all that were documented?
Not that we know of at this point. I mean, again, these are very, very old records, you have to understand. We learned about this very recently. And I think going forward, as we want to learn more, we will cooperate with the investigation to give them the information they need.
Go ahead, in the white shirt.
Hi, Brittany, WCBB. This question is for Colonel Perez. You mentioned that Claudio was the primary suspect, primary focus from the beginning. If that's the case, can you elaborate more on why there was someone else detained initially and the lead that led you to that person to being detained initially if Claudio was the primary focus from the beginning?
Yeah, so...
And I have a follow-up.
Sure, Brittany. Great question. So we have received a tip about that first person. We have received a tip about him wanting to get a permit to carry a firearm. And that led us to also learn that he was a person who potentially could be, it was just weird. He was denied and then he went to another department and the descriptions led us there. So we had it vetted through. Obviously, the FBI responded, followed through that whole tip, ended up finding the person, taking him to custody, finding him with 2 firearms, with a laser. And so it took a while for us to be able to rule him out. But it was a tip that came in. And as I stated earlier, as soon as the call came in, it was all hands on deck. And there was nothing that we were just going to say that is not anything that had to do with it, with this case. Obviously, we wanted to make an apprehension, and we went after that. So.
Yeah, I just wanted, if I could just jump in here, Mayor, I'm sorry to do that, but I think I heard you say that Mr. Valenti was the suspect from the start.
Primary focus.
No, he became the primary focus yesterday at around this time. This name was not known to us until yesterday. So when our cooperator came in last night, we were able to track the car, get the name, and then we were in the position of today, do we push that name out so that you can help us find this guy, or do we think we know where he is? And so that was the balance. That was that back and forth analysis in our minds, collective investigative team minds, was going on today. But his name did not come to us until yesterday. As I said yesterday, until you have the name, which we did not have until yesterday, after our press conference together, that's when this thing heated up. As soon as you have a name, I believe you can find anybody in this country. And the fact that this team was able to do it in around 24 hours, I think is a tribute to them, their hard work around the clock, to do exactly what we have been talking about doing, which is how long is it going to take? And it took, roughly 5 days. And that's a tribute to them.
Brittany, if I could just clarify further on that. So what I meant, obviously, it was that the image that we released within hours of that person of interest that was walking on Waterman Avenue around the corner, that was sent out within minutes. That became a primary focus of the investigation of that person of interest.
For the clarification, if I may, my follow-up. I believe it said the last address for Valenti was in Miami.
Correct.
Have law enforcement in Miami been notified? Are they searching this last address for any potential evidence?
No, Brittany, absolutely. Yes, that address, I believe, was one that predicated in 2001. And so, absolutely, the law enforcement agencies, both federal and local, were notified of that. They also went to that residence as well, also talked to the individuals that was at that particular residence to see if they had any type of connections or associations with Valenti.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You know, right back?
Question for Coronel Perez, I'm sorry. For Univision, in Spanish, you can do this. What's next? Do you have any leads on the motives? Como acaba de preguntar la colega, ¿ya registraron la vivienda en la Florida? ¿Qué es lo que viene ahora? Si es que saben cuál fue su motivo para matar a esa persona.
Sí, vamos a seguir. So the question was, what's next, right? What are we going to do next? And so la respuesta es que vamos a seguir, obviamente, trabajando con las organizaciones federales y también entre nosotros buscando esa inteligencia de quién es esa persona, qué motivo lo trajo aquí a la ciudad de Providence a cometer esta tragedia, este incidente. Pero eso va a tomar tiempo verdaderamente y vamos a tener que averiguar y averiguar más para ver qué fue el motivo que llegó a esta ciudad.
¿Tienen alguna pista de qué podría haber sido? ¿Qué es lo que van a estar buscando ahora?
No, hasta el momento no. Esto obviamente, como acabo de explicar ahorita, lo identificamos hace poco.
Colonel.
Go ahead. Right there.
What brought investigators specifically to New Hampshire? Does this person have a connection to New Hampshire? I know you said that the storage unit was in his.
So it was the financial records that the federal agency followed through the investigation that led us to learn that this person had rented there, so a storage unit. And so we responded immediately, and we found that the vehicle that we were looking for of interest was parked there.
Just one follow-up here.
Kate, go ahead.
Chief, can you speak a little bit more to that, again, identification of the vehicle of interest and the person who did that? And as you said, there was video captured. Could you walk us through that aspect of this? Was this the witness who provided to you the vehicle? Can you walk us through how that vehicle of interest entered the investigation? And then I have a follow-up.
Correct, yeah, it was part of the tip that was posted actually, and then also the tipster had called and had stated that this individual had a fob and was trying to enter a vehicle that was parked on Benevolent. And so because of that, we obviously knew there was a vehicle and there was a description of a vehicle. When we brought him in, he collaborated further on that vehicle. We put it out through Flock, the description of it, and we learned that within that time period, there was only a certain amount of vehicles that came up with those description fitting it. So our detectives obviously stayed on that and ended up finding this vehicle with Florida plates. And that's how we ended up with that specific vehicle. Then we had learned that the vehicle also potentially could have changed their plates. And as I stated earlier, we were able to find the vehicle on Flock, actually get the actual plate, learn that it was a car rental, which brought us up to learn that, that we needed to learn more at the rental place about the individual, which we did. And then further later, we find out, again, doing all the work that they did upstairs, I think it was tremendous too. If you had a chance and an opportunity to see how much work was put in, because it was bits and pieces of information. It's almost like putting a puzzle together. You only have just a few pieces and you're building it. And that later on led us with the financial records to learn that he rented a storage unit in New Hampshire, and that's why we ended up.
As a follow-up to that one for the Chief or the Attorney General, you mentioned again weighing that public interest versus the information that was available to law enforcement at the time, as this person, again, considered armed and potentially dangerous, was out there. The Chief just spoke to license plates changing on a variety of moments, if you will. But was it too fast moving? Talk to us about weighing again that providing information to the public with an armed and dangerous individual and vehicle use that involved multiple license plates, and your decision not to sort of real-time inform the public of it.
Yeah, so we knew last night, who this guy was and that he had rented a car in Boston. So the question becomes, is he going to return the car to Boston? We got information he might return it to Connecticut. He didn't return it at all. But when we thought he might be returning it to the information, to the locations, we wanted to try to take him without him knowing we were coming. As soon as his name gets out there, he is going to be even more in the wind. And so the question becomes, if you think you might know where he is, right, eventually you find the storage unit, right, so you're following that up. But initially you think he might return the car to Boston on Atlantic Avenue, I believe, or in Connecticut, perhaps to board a flight somewhere. You're weighing, can I take this guy because we know where he's going to be, and not alert him that we're coming. And so I would say this afternoon, we were going back and forth on that. But as the FBI and the ATF and our other partners, Providence Police, State Police, developed evidence as to where he was, ultimately in New Hampshire, we decided to pursue to that location. And there we found the car with those multiple plates that we were looking for, a Florida plate and a Maine plate on top of it.
General,
right there. Go ahead.
General,
that DNA evidence, where was that tested? And also the firearms examination, because we're in trouble with the state lab here. Where were those?
I just wanted to touch real quick, and I know ITF is going to be able to answer you that, but that's a great question, Mark. And the reason for that is because when the incident first happened, it was our BCI unit that responded and collected that DNA and protected the integrity of that DNA and sent it out.
Thank you. The evidence collected, the DNA and the firearms were sent to the Connecticut State Police Lab. They have the best local capabilities to handle that type of evidence and do those type of examinations.
Question, follow-up, you're good. Thank you. Wheeler, go ahead.
So is there an understanding of how he got to get the rental car in Boston, or what his movements were in the days and weeks before the shooting?
So if there's an understanding how he got to Boston to rent the car, is that?
Yeah, like where was he in the days and the weeks before this?
Yeah, so we're not sure about that, obviously, because we all started acting on this investigation when the incident happened, and that's when we started to follow through to learn more about it. So.
And remember, we didn't have his name until last night, so I think we'll know more about his movements as we're able to track that name. But the critical thing was, once we knew his name, was where is he right now? Certainly, going backwards, we're going to want to know how he got into the country, when he got here, and all that. But today's mission was get him off the streets where he poses a danger to Rhode Islanders and ultimately the people of New England.
Okay, so let's break out of this press conference because we are seeing another press conference starting in Massachusetts. We've heard them alluding that we will learn more from officials in Massachusetts at some point tonight. That press conference starting now. Let's watch.
Good evening. This evening at approximately 9 p.m., federal agents breached a storage locker in Salem, New Hampshire, in search of Claudio Neves Valente, a Portuguese national we believed shot and killed two Brown University students and an MIT professor in Brookline, Massachusetts. Federal agents found Neves Valente dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The United States Attorney's Office in Boston, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire have been working throughout the day to establish probable cause to charge Neves Valente. Earlier today, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Massachusetts filed a criminal complaint under seal detailing the chain of events over the past 6 days, including information that led us to today's search of the storage locker in New Hampshire. This is what we learned during this multi-jurisdictional investigation. Neves Valente studied at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island on an F-1 visa around 2000 to 2021. He eventually obtained legal permanent resident status. Previously, he attended the same academic program as the MIT professor Nuno Loureiro in Portugal between 1995 and 2000. Although Neves Valente appeared to reside in Florida, between November 26 and November 30 of this year, he rented a hotel room in Boston. On December 1st, he rented a gray Nissan Sentra with Florida plates from a car rental agency in Boston. That same day, he drove to the vicinity of Brown University, where his car was observed intermittently between December 1st and December 12th. On December 13th, Neves Valente entered an auditorium on Brown University's campus during a study session and began shooting at students, killing Ella Cook and Mohammed Aziz Umarzokov and injuring 9 others. Between December 13th and December 14th, Neves Valente returned to Massachusetts. On December 15th, he murdered MIT professor Nuno Loureiro at Loureiro's home in Brookline, Massachusetts. At some point while he was in Massachusetts, he switched the plates on the Nissan Sentra to an unregistered plate out of Maine. Immediately following Professor Loureiro's murder, Neves Valente drove to a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, where he had rented a storage unit in November of this year. Since the December 13th shootings at Brown and the December 15th shooting in Brookline, state, local, and federal law enforcement officials have been working hand in hand around the clock to identify the shooter and prevent him from inflicting further harm. I have said this before and will continue to believe when law enforcement agencies work together, crimes are solved and the public is protected. The information we provided to you tonight would not be possible without the dedicated men and women of law enforcement in multiple districts throughout New England, including the FBI, ATF, HSI, the U.S. Marshal Service, Massachusetts State Police, Rhode Island State Police, Providence Police, Brookline Police, and the Brown University Police. In addition, prosecutors from the Rhode Island Attorney General's Office and the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and federal prosecutors from Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts all contributed to this result. I also want to thank Attorney General Pam Bondi for her support in coordinating the federal response.
Questions? Can you tell us anything about his motive? And the two sets of victims and how they might be related and how he might be related to them?
That is not information that we can share right now, but as soon as that information becomes available, we will share that with the public.
Are you able to say anything of what led you?
Identified the vehicle that he had rented in Boston and then drove to Rhode Island. And he was seen, the vehicle was seen outside of Brown, and there was security footage that showed a person who resembled him. There was financial investigations that were going on in the background that linked him not only to that car, but also to the hotels that he had rented. And the car that he had used to not only drive to Rhode Island, but then back to Boston. And then there was the security footage that captured him within a half mile of the professor's residence in Brookline. And there is a video footage of him entering an apartment building in the location of the professor's apartment. And then later that evening, he is seen about an hour later entering the storage unit wearing the same clothes that he had been seen wearing right after the murder.
So you have an extensive video canvas as part of this investigation. That leaves you no doubt.
This is the evidence we have right now. We are coming to you tonight because the federal complaint was unsealed, and we wanted to provide you with the information and to assure the public that law enforcement collectively believe that we have the person, that we identified the person, and that person is dead, and that he was the person responsible not only for the Brown shootings, but for the Brookline shooting.
Can you speak to, before the self-inflicted gunshot, was there any interaction between law enforcement and Nevis Valente, like any words exchanged or anything like that?
No, when investigators went into the storage facility tonight to execute the federal search warrant, he was dead.
Do you think he entered there this evening?
No.
He entered an hour after what happened in Brookline?
Yes.
And do you know how long that storage, did he rent that? Like how long?
Our understanding from the financial investigation is that he had rented a storage facility at the location in Salem, New Hampshire in November.
Can you confirm whether or not he used the same weapon in the Brown shooting as he did in the MIT shooting?
Ballistics investigation was ongoing and has not been completed at this time, so we're not going to comment on that.
Can you give us any sense of when you started to recognize perhaps that, he was the same person? I know it was through a video, but when it sort of dawned on investigators that these two cases were related?
It was in the last 24 to 48 hours that my understanding, according to my understanding, is when the link began to be established. And that was mainly, he was using a phone that was obfuscating ability to track it. And he was using financial, not credit cards that were tied to his name. And so he was sophisticated in hiding his tracks.
According to the complaint that was unsealed, the officer had attended the same academic program together in Portugal from 1995 to 2000. Do you know if they knew each other? Or
my understanding is that they did know each other.
Had they been in communication since that last date?
I don't have any information to provide you.
Would you call this targeted?
We're still investigating the motive in this case and trying to, because like I said, he was very careful in his communications, and we just don't have any information right now to answer that question. But when we get that information, we will share it.
Was there anything else in the storage locker?
The storage locker in which his body was found, my information is that no.
Was that satchel in the storage?
Yes.
What was in it?
Can you repeat the question? I can't hear you online.
So the question was there anything else in the storage unit aside from the defendant's body? And the answer is he was found in there with his satchel. There was nothing else found in there that I am aware of, but they're still in the process of searching that facility right now.
Did he kill himself right away?
We don't have any information when he killed himself, but he was dead when investigators found his body.
Can you tell us anything about his life? Like, I think you said the last known address was in Florida. Like, what he was doing? Was he working? Was he in the field of physics, which he had studied? Any sort of biographical stuff you can tell us about him?
Because his identity was only become aware to us in the last 24 hours, I can't provide you with any of that information right now, but I'm sure once we have a full understanding of what he has been doing, where he has been, aside from the time when he entered into New England in November, we will provide that information.
Besides the MIT professor, did he know any of the victims at Brown University personally?
We have no information that he knew any of the victims or anyone who was at that auditorium on the time and the night that he went in and killed.
Have you been able to find anything about when he did attend Brown, whether there were any issues? He was there briefly. Was he kicked out? You know?
That information hasn't been provided to us yet.
Given what you see on the video of the MIT professor's home, is there any doubt that he was the intended target of the killing?
The information that I know, and again, the investigations are going to continue to be able to provide you with all the answers that you are asking, is that there was no doubt that he was the intended target.
What was inside that satchel?
That is information that is still being, the investigators are still on the scene right now conducting that investigation, and we haven't received information as to what was in the satchel.
Was there any suicide note?
No information right now.
How about in terms of the charges themselves? I mean, there was a crime in Rhode Island and also the 1 year. How does that sort of get sorted out? How does he get charged, et cetera?
So there are state crimes, including the murders, and then there are the federal crimes, which is one that we brought tonight. The jurisdictions are working together, and we have been sharing information together and encouraging everyone to share information that could result in solving the crimes that were committed in their jurisdictions. And we will continue to do that if there are any doubts that are left with closing out those investigations. We will continue to share all the information so that we can share with you whatever motivations come to light as to why these heinous crimes were committed.
Are you confident, I guess maybe that's not the right word, but do you believe that he acted alone, or is there any evidence that anyone else was traveling with him when he came here?
We have no information that he was acting in concert with anyone else right now.
Anything interesting found in the car?
That search is still underway, but we will provide you again with more information as soon as we get it.
Anything more you can tell us about, you said he hid his own tracks. Can you talk about that a little bit, what he did?
So he was using an application on his phone, and there have been a couple of things. The Google phone doesn't allow officers to ping the direct location and get real-time location information about the phone. There was also beliefs that he was using SIM cards that were possibly European SIM cards that are carried through a provider in the United States, but does not provide real-time information about tower connections.
In the car?
The vehicle, he rented, we have video of him renting the car at Enterprise here in Boston.
And the fake plate from Maine was just...
We haven't figured out now where he got that plate from. It was an unregistered plate in Maine. We have information that that plate was a very old plate that had been taken out of the registration status over a decade ago.
When his body was found, can you just describe what he was surrounded by? Can you just paint the pictures to what was in that unit?
What I can say is he rented one unit. His body was found in a unit that was not occupied, and there was nothing else in there from what I have heard, but this is information that I was getting an hour or two ago from agents who were conducting the searches there. When we get further information, the information will be made public, including in the returns for the search warrant that we obtained this evening.
Was he living in it effectively since after the Brookline incident?
I have no information right now as to the unit that he had actually rented. The tactical teams were there to search, and they were obviously concerned that there could be booby traps or other types of security issues. And so when they noticed that that storage unit was still locked from the outside, it was clear that he couldn't be inside. And so they started searching the abandoned or the non-occupied units with the approval of the management, and that is when they found the body right next door.
I know that you haven't had much time. Does he have any sort of criminal record that you know of at this point in time?
We are not aware of any criminal record in the United States.
Do you have any information about his life in Florida? What he did, where he lived?
My understanding, it was South Florida. I know that they know the address, but nothing has been made public about that yet, and I'm assuming that there will be searches.
Profession, anything, what he did down there?
I have no information.
And just to be clear, did he fly up from Florida for this, you think? Did he travel from Florida?
Again, the motive, and we have information of his being in New England throughout 2025, but once we get the information about why he came up here, what drove him to be up here, we will share that with the public.
Any information on how long he had been a lawful permanent resident of the U.S.?
I don't have that information.
So, I mean, the only two ties that you have or can talk about now is he went to Brown and he went to this graduate school with the professor in Portugal. I mean, those are the only two ties that you can talk about now in terms of their relationship.
That is correct right now.
Is it graduate school or undergrad?
Whatever it was, I'm sure it's in the...
They were in school.
Yeah, do you have a question? Do you know if he was in contact with anybody either immediately before coming to New England or after he got here?
That is not information that we have to share right now.
Just one more?
Do you know, did he have any contact with anybody else, besides, the rental, the hotel, in his travel?
That is information that I don't have to share with you right now.
There's one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Question. Is there? There was been some reports on social media by this saying that a man who was homeless and was sort of living at Brown was the one who sort of saw him and thought he was suspicious and took his plate number and then was urged by other people on Reddit to make sure he reported. Is that true? You say there was a witness, but is that his account true that he's the one that helped break this or gave a crucial tip? How would you describe that?
We did receive information from a witness who encountered him after the Brown shooting and gave information that was very helpful to the investigation and in identifying Neves Valente.
You're going to get the $50,000?
We'll let you know.
You have to say about him?
The accounts that are on the record right now is what we can comment on, but we will provide, again, more information so that the public will have confidence in our investigations.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That was Leah Foley. She's the U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts. An extensive press conference, really wrapping up a marathon of question and answer at two different press conferences. We've been nonstop watching as authorities, first in Providence, explained what they know so far. What you just watched there was Foley again. She is the U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, letting us know what they know from their perspective. This camera on the ground at the scene in southern New Hampshire, about a 45-minute drive north of Boston. That's where this storage facility is. I'm Austin Westfall. I'm going to recap everything that we've learned in the past couple of hours. We've learned a lot. Basically, it was a video that provided authorities with a description of a vehicle, which then was eventually corroborated through a tip they received. They say that it was a community effort helping to crack this case. And specifically, you heard them mention one homeless person, and they were asked at the very end of that press conference if that person's going to be getting part of that reward. Time will tell. The suspect, let's begin here. Identified as Claudio Manuel Neves Valente, a 48-year-old. I have not seen them release these images in an official capacity yet, but these were the images they had of the suspect on screen while they were announcing the death of the suspect and while they were letting us know what they know about him so far. Again, 48-year-old Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. That's him pictured on our screen. That's as clear as a photo as we have at the moment. He's Portuguese. Authorities say that there were guns at the storage facility where his body was found. There were...
All right, let's take a look. This is apparently from the affidavit about the tip about the Providence subreddit post that set off the chain of events that led to identifying the gunman. On December 16th, 2025, the TIP Command Center received information from an anonymous source referencing a Reddit post from the Providence subreddit made by the username blacked out. The then anonymous tipster stated the Reddit posters said they saw the suspected shooter walking in the area. Investigators obtained a copy of the Reddit post. It reads, "I'm being dead serious. The police need to look into a gray Nissan with Florida plates, possibly a rental. That was the car he was driving. It was parked in front of the little shack behind the Rhode Island Historical Society on the Cook Street side. I know because he used his key fob to open the car, approached it, and then something prompted him to back away. When he backed away, he relocked the car. I found that odd, so when he circled the block, I approached the car. That is when I saw the Florida plates. He was parked in the section between the gate of the RIHS in the corner of Cook and George Street." Yeah, I could probably find the anon, assuming this post hasn't been deleted. But wait, what the fuck? So you saw someone walk up to a car, use the fob to open it, and then something prompted them to back away, so you just determined this must be the Brown shooter? I mean, have you never walked up to your car, opened the door, and like forgot something and had to go back and get it? Like, what connection? What? One, why are you paying this much attention, you weirdo? Oh, you're on Reddit, that's why. But, like, what? Jay, yeah, well, now I'm even more confused. Like, I'm sorry, if I saw someone do that, I'd probably be like, yeah, they probably forgot something. One, I wouldn't be paying that much attention because I don't give a shit. How do you determine this must be the shooter from this? And how does the FBI or the police look at this and go, yep, that must be the guy? Right? Bulky law enforcement went right along with it. Huh? What now? Okay. All right.
And the MIT professor were classmates in Lisbon specifically.
Huxilla, this is the homeless guy that lives on campus and has Reddit? Yeah, is it?
At the Providence press conference that we will learn more from the affidavit. Once we get the affidavit, once we're able to get eyes on it, we'll share any more details that may come from that. But that was something that was kind of a reoccurring phrase that we kept hearing. The affidavit will, no doubt, perhaps give us a little more insight. But the suspect, we learned, obtained permanent resident legal status.
Fractal Ninja. Anyone want to bet it's another Reddit user that downvoted Anon's comment one time, so they accused them? Jay said, I actually understand now. He saw the Florida plates and thought, aha, it must be Maggot. We got him now, boys. Okay, I'm starting to see a bunch of stuff about this physicist professor that he was on to some big energy breakthrough. Is that what this is about?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there's obviously connective tissue between the top nuclear fusion scientist at MIT being assassinated in his home on Monday and Truth Social merging with a nuclear fusion firm this morning for $6 billion. You'd give Stephen King a hard time for making those plot points happen in the same book. Come on, this is too far-fetched. The president can't wait just 3 days after the top...
Lynn, you're seeing a debate brewing on if Portuguese are white or not?
Nuclear fusion scientist in the country is assassinated in the same industry that you're now merging your...
Is this guy saying Trump did it?
Social media company with? You gotta be fucking kidding me! Oh, and here's a fancy little footnote. The government of Russia, through the joint stock company Rosnano, invested
Trump and
in
Russia
TAE
did it
in October 2012. And the Rosnano CEO, Anatoly Shubais, became a board member. Other investors include the Wellcome Trust and the Kuwait Investment Authority.
It's been tied back to Trump and Russia. Finally. We'll get him this time. Okay, I think this MIT professor shot dead at his home. He was working on technology that could have broken the energy system, guys.
The MIT professor who was shot in his home was working on these two groundbreaking technologies that could have reshaped the future of humanity. MIT professor Nuno Loureiro was found critically injured in his residence before passing away at a local hospital. Police have not yet announced a motive or identified a perpetrator, but details have emerged regarding the two critical scientific innovations that Loureiro was researching at MIT. First, Loureiro's primary focus was the research and development of a new type of energy known as nuclear fusion, which produces a highly efficient, low-cost, and environmentally friendly source of power that could have replaced traditional fuels such as coal and oil. However, nuclear fusion is extremely unstable, and Loureiro was reportedly leading the work aimed at stabilizing the fusion process. Second, Loureiro was also helping to develop a next-generation form of computing that could eventually replace today's phones and laptops, called quantum computing. He was specifically designing algorithms for quantum computers to simulate plasma.
Well, there you have it. I love how this article from a couple days ago, CBS News, about the killing of this professor, specifically says here, FBI says no connection to Brown shooting. Two days later, FBI says connection to Brown shooting.
FBI continues their work outside the storage facility. We here on Live Now, we're going to continue to track this story. A busy night and surely much more to be learned from this investigation in the coming days. The time.
Looks like we got another boat, boys. Looks like we got ourselves another one. This was posted a couple hours ago by U.S. Southern Command. Got him. Was this boat carrying fusion parts? I'm hearing that this boat was carrying the Brown shooter. Judge Dugan found guilty by jury for trying to help a criminal migrant escape ICE, a felony obstruction. She faces up to 5 years in prison. This is the Milwaukee judge who tried to shield a criminal migrant from ICE.
He meets his attorney in the hallway and walks towards Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom. Along the way, he passes plainclothes federal agents who are sitting on a bench. They are there to detain him. After Flores Ruiz walks by, the agents turn to each other and appear to confirm his identity amongst themselves. But a few moments later, Judge Dugan and another judge approach the agents sitting on the bench. A criminal complaint against Dugan later said she was alerted to their presence by a court official. That complaint says during this interaction, Dugan and the agents disagreed over the type of warrant they had to arrest Flores Ruiz. According to the complaint, Dugan ordered the agents to go to the chief judge's office. Video shows her pointing them through a double door.
I think it was a
she
Milwaukee
then turns
jury.
back to speak with other agents
It is quite
further down the
incredible,
hall
Jay.
and orders them through the doors as well. Shortly after that, with the agents gone from the hallway, Eduardo Flores Ruiz and his attorney exit into the hallway through a different door. As they walk down the hall toward the elevators, they pass another plainclothes federal agent. Neither they nor Judge Dugan seem to have noticed at the time. That agent motions to another to follow Flores Ruiz. Security video shows Flores Ruiz exiting through a basement exit. Upstairs on the 6th floor, the other agents have left the chief judge's office and worked their way downstairs. Flores Ruiz left the building onto 9th Street. Videos of the street shows the agents catching up to him. Flores Ruiz runs across 10th Street while trying to get away, but the agents catch him and arrest him.
Donald Trump will be making an announcement tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern. Who's going to be there to waste their time for this one? That shit last night was ridiculous. I'm sorry I didn't stream it, but I'm also glad I didn't stream it. We were roasting most of it in the Discord. I just didn't see the point of it. I just didn't understand the point. Another nothing announcement. I mean, probably. Right? Probably. Vinter, was that judge trying to look like the girl that got turned into a blueberry in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Maybe. Maybe, Vinter. Jarvis, what happened to the bar stream? I don't know. YouTube took it down and then put it back up later. And then I privated it because I got to figure out what the hell's up with that. I don't know. Was it something we said? Jay, they hit you for the Jew talk, but then saw all the gay talk and had to put you back. The algorithm was confused. If only there were some warning signs that he would bludgeon his family to death. That's even weirder, Lynn. Oh yeah, I can't play this video. I saw this video. 32-year-old man in Jharkhand, India, killed by elephant while taking a selfie, local media says. I could copy a link to the video for any of you who haven't seen it and wanna watch some shit.
We released.
Yeah, we're not rewatching that shit show again, that's for sure. Woman recognized as first Black Briton by BBC was actually white. No idea what that's about, but it's funny. Guy blocked a bus station with his car. He even ignored the bus that clearly needed to go through. The bus driver pushed him aside. Big happenings in the bus world. What happened to the guy? Where'd the guy go? Australian government to introduce strictest hate speech laws. Increase penalties for hate speech. Make hate an aggregating factor when adjudicating crimes online. Uh-oh. Has anyone seen Johnny Sins lately? Has anyone seen our resident Australian? His ass is probably locked up by now. The connection between shooter and the professor in Hong Zone? Where? Where in the Hong Zone?
Plan. Firstly, the Attorney General and Minister for Home Affairs will develop a package of legislative reforms to crack down on those who spread hate, division and radicalisation. The National Security Committee has agreed that changes will include the following 5 points. Agreed changes will include 1. Aggravated hate speech offence for preachers and leaders who promote violence. Secondly, increased penalties for hate speech promoting violence. Thirdly, making hate an aggravating factor in sentencing crimes for online threats and harassment. Fourthly, developing a regime for listing organisations whose leaders engage in hate speech promoting violence or racial hatred. And fifthly, developing a narrow federal offence for serious vilification based on race and or advocating racial supremacy. The Minister for Home Affairs will also have new powers to cancel or reject visas for those who spread hate and division in this country or would do so if they were allowed to come here. The East Safety Commissioner, the Special Envoy and the Department of Communications will work together to provide online safety advice to address anti-Semitism. Over the coming days, I'll have more to say about the government's response to Sunday's atrocity, including on gun control, and I note that New South Wales is moving on that next week.
Lynn, no, you tagged me in the... You tagged me to the Wisconsin judge. Or is it this one? We already knew all this. Oh, here, I see. I'm not seeing anything new here, Lynn. I don't see anything that connects him. What do you mean? What am I missing here? The connection between the shooter and the professor? Is it this one? No, we already watched that one. What else? What else is going on, guys? Australian PM, hundreds of thousands of firearms will be collected and destroyed. The last one in tagged you in. Lynn, what? Okay. So there's this one. Robbie, I actually think this one is Lone Wolf Nutjob. Is it this one? Brown shooting suspect identified. Authorities announced late Thursday that Cases are now officially connected. This reverses the FBI's earlier statement that there was no connection. The 25-year-old link. According to records from Instituto Superior Técnico, Portugal's preeminent engineering school, a person named Claudio Neves Valente was terminated from a monitor position in February 2000, the same year that Professor Nuno Loureiro graduated from IST. Both men were Portuguese nationals. Both attended the same elite university. One was reportedly fired. One went on to become a world-renowned fusion researcher. Yeah, but why go kill a couple people at Brown before killing... Why not just kill this guy? The evidence. Rhode Island AG Peter Noronha. He was found dead with a satchel with 2 firearms and evidence in the car that matches exactly what we see at the scene here in Providence. A grudge that may have festered for a quarter century. 3 innocent people dead. So, I mean, this explains why he might have killed the MIT guy. He came here after kicked out. And then he spent 25 years going to school at Brown off and on, it seems like. Why did... So, the dean or the woman at Brown, whoever she is, the president of Brown, whatever her title is, said that his last class was in 2001. But then the FBI on the other press conference said that he'd been in and out of school there at Brown from the year 2000 to like 2023. They need to work on their story. They need to work on getting their story straight. New York Attorney General Tish James says bill to ban kids from having sex changes is frightening. So, Lynn, so he only went from Brown from 2001 to 2003, but the lady on the other press conference said that he was there longer than that. Was she wrong? And why did he still have a student visa? He had a student visa, and I guess he got permanent resident status in 2017, they said? J. Davis, Bongino following Cash Out. Is Cash Out too? What up, Lunchbox? You're so late. Jarvis, maybe he was auditing classes where he can sit in on lectures but aren't enrolled. She has to know something. Anything to be wrong, Austin. I find it interesting that Democrats are doubling down on mutilating children heading into 2026 midterms. You would think some fucking political advisor would sit them down and be like, listen, just leave the fucking kids alone. Your numbers will go up overnight.
Hello, everyone. It's Tish James. I want to speak directly to the transgender community, especially to our young people and their families who count on gender-affirming care. I know this latest proposal from this administration to cut access to gender-affirming care for many youth is frightening. Whether you live in Brooklyn, Binghamton, Buffalo, or anywhere else in New York, and even if you don't live in New York, I will not let this administration come for you, your doctors, or your life-saving health care. As of now, nothing has changed. Your health care is still legal and protected. And your doctors cannot cut off your access to gender-affirming care based on the administration's reckless proposal. And most importantly, I want you to know that you're not alone. I am right here with you, and I'm sending love to each and every one of you. So please, stay strong, my friends, and enjoy the holiday.
Aww. Federal prosecutors have charged Haitian migrants in Massachusetts in a $7 million SNAP fraud scheme involving fake retail stores that reportedly generated up to $480,000 per month.
Neil Bonner and Saul Elisme for
Wait, isn't this the same woman that was at the other press conference?
large-scale SNAP benefit trafficking, a scheme that turned a program designed to feed families into a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. SNAP benefits are also known as food stamps. The defendants are charged with one count of food stamp fraud. As alleged in the charging documents, these men abused one of the government's most critical safety net programs for their own financial gain. This is taxpayer money meant to keep people from going hungry. These defendants decided to
It's
take
all
it for
AI now,
themselves.
Fractal.
These defendants exchanged SNAP benefits for cash, which they pocketed. Bonner, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Haiti, owned the Jesuela Variety Store. Elisme, a lawful permanent resident also from Haiti, owned the Saul Mache Mixe store. These two businesses were co-located within a single storefront in Boston. To be certain, these were not supermarkets. They were not full-service groceries. It would be a huge stretch to even call them convenience stores. In fact, the only thing convenient about these stores was how easy it was to commit SNAP benefit fraud. To put this in perspective, the Jesuela Variety Store is less than 150 square feet in size, smaller than some bathrooms. The Saul Mache Mixe store was approximately 500 square feet in space. By contrast, a supermarket can be 20,000 to 60,000 square feet in size, have a dozen or more registers, and employ numerous employees. Both the Jesuela Variety and Saul Mache Mixe stores had one register, no carriages, no hand baskets, and very little food for sale. One legitimate supermarket in the same area as these stores redeems approximately $80,000 in SNAP benefits per month. Over the last 20 months, the Jesuela Variety Store was redeeming between 3 and 6 times that amount monthly, with nowhere near the space, inventory, customers, or infrastructure to support it. The Saul Mache Mixe store redeemed over $120,000 in SNAP benefits in the last 6 months. Simply put, there is no plausible way SNAP-eligible food could have been purchased from these stores for this long. Yet, these two stores are alleged to have illicitly trafficked nearly $7 million in SNAP benefits. The fraud was shocking and
What's
glaring.
a little $7 million fraud from some Haitian immigrants? SNAP recipient learns she can no longer buy junk food with her food stamps. She hates Trump.
It's not even cool. Like, why they do that? What's the point of food stamps if it's just for real food?
Hannah Moore believes she and other
How is this not satire?
Their SNAP recipients should be able to go into the grocery store and buy whatever they like. Soda, candy, prepackaged sweets, prepared desserts, and juice with less than half of natural fruit or vegetable juice in it will not be allowed to be purchased on SNAP cards.
I don't know what Trump is doing. I don't know what's going on. It's not even cool. Like,
Jay, I knew an eyebrow comment was coming from Jay. What up, Anna Mae Grandma? Sorry to all of you who are late and didn't get a notification till recently. Seems like that's more than a couple of you. Because the stream is over. Just make sure nothing else is happening live. Looks like no. Comet 3i Atlas live image. Countdown to comet closer to Earth. 1 hour. All right, hungers. We're going to have to see you next time. Probably tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. I don't think I can stream Saturday night. I might have a thing Saturday night. So I will stream tomorrow to make up for that. Obviously, the daily December is just over. It's done. It was a failure. I failed. I take full responsibility. You guys want a quick contexto, Fractal? Text of the context. All right. We can do a quick contexto. So let's go. Let's do it. Nope, that's not right. That's the one. Alright, now I gotta pick a random one. Alright. What are we starting with? Guys? Oh, is it Lunchbox? Investigators? Investigators, huh? Satchel? Should we deviate from Lunchbox tonight? Go with Satchel? Let's go with Satchel. Eeh. Investigator Brown. Hey, Brown wasn't bad. All right, Lunchbox is here. Let's go with Lunchbox. Oh, shit. Hey, we should have started with Lunchbox, guys. What the hell? You can carry lunch in a satchel. Where do we go from here? Well, Lunchbox, I'll let you pick the next word. I'm fucking leaving. I mean, hey, we got here. What could this possibly be? Pretty sure his next word is go fuck yourself. Leads? I don't know. Food? Hey, it's food related. It's pretty food related. Robbie, yeah, you came in with food. It's food related. Cover up. Let's see. Well, what do you guys got? Cover up? It's not gonna be cover up. It's a food. Is it just like pasta? Is it just pasta? No, it's not pasta. Apple? Well, I'm gonna try drink to see where we're at. Hey! Dinner? Whoa, dinner. Don't tell me. Don't fucking tell me. Well, new record, guys. 8 guesses is pretty fucking incredible. I don't think we should ever start with Lunchbox ever again, though. Why is Lunchbox 88? It should be number 2. Why was Lunchbox 88? Oh, hey, DJ Lunchbox, I bet you can't connect this to your Lunchbox. DJ Lunchbox, lunch was my second guess. No, it wasn't. And you ignored me. Wait, was it? No. You didn't say that. You didn't say lunch anywhere. No, you didn't say lunch. That didn't happen. No, no. Because no one actually uses a lunchbox anymore, except for DJ Lunchbox. The box drops it by 87. You said it like 5 times. You didn't say it anywhere. It's nowhere in here. You can't gaslight me. I can see the chat. You didn't type lunch anywhere. You just said I'm fucking leaving, and you left. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Lunchbox? Wait, so last time we played, the answer was diner. This time it was lunch. A lot of food-related contexto lately. Well, this was fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I don't know what we do from there. I don't know how we go on with contexto after that. We'll never beat 8. It'll never fucking happen. See you guys. Bye-bye.